Hello, my drone cowboy. Now today is a very special episode. I share my drone cinematography cheat sheet for new locations. And we're going on a drone road trip with my friends, and you are coming with us. We're on our way to the infamous Bannerman Castle. Wait until you see this thing. I share my step-by-step workflow of exactly how to analyze a new drone scene. So let's show you where we're going. Here is New York City. My goofy ass lives here. A bunch of friends piled in the car, and we're heading up here to beautiful Beacon, New York. We have arrived. Come on, let's get to our location and launch the drones.
So yeah, there it is.
We are like giddy little schoolgirls right now, excited to get our flying creation machines up in the sky and see this old decaying castle. Oh, there it is. Let's put my Mini 3 Pro into ludicrous mode and boogie over there. So for today's little tutorial, I'll narrate what I'm seeing and thinking as a cinematographer to get the best shots of our subject. The time right now, it's about 12 noon, so the sunlight, it's pretty harsh. Could you imagine how gorgeous this would be at golden hour with the soft warm sun illuminating everything? Oh, we gotta come back for that. So let's go in closer and look at the details of our subject and come up with a game plan. Wait, what was that? Holy smokes, did you see that? Eject, go up. Wait, rewind that. An orange drone can only mean one thing. Yep, that's Jeff and his Autel. He loves that thing. So the first step I do when I find a new subject is circle around to look for the best features and identify the angles we need to avoid. Oh, no bueno, Papi. See those support braces holding up the wall? Oh look, I think that's Captain Ray's drone. Hey Ray. This whole time we're calling out our current altitude to reduce collisions. We're having such a blast describing what we're seeing and trying different angles. What a treasure this is with friends. Now looking up close for great details to highlight. Oh wait, look at that background. Do you see the V in the landscape there? Ansel Adams would approve of that. So let's start to assemble a shot here and ensure that we include that great landscape feature. I want to slowly orbit to the left to reveal these beautiful vines and overgrowth and decay. Oh, this is looking tasty. Let's try a quick color grade and a song. Wow, we're in the beautiful outdoors with friends, documenting nature and our adventures. We have the greatest hobby on the planet. Drones are second only to whiskey and motorcycles. Next, here's a little composition trick I do frequently with my drone. I position the drone very low and point the camera up slightly so my subject is piercing the horizon line. It dramatically highlights the silhouette of the subject, and it can be a very powerful look. I think a lot of beginner drone filmmakers, they don't often get their drone low enough and angle the camera upward at their subject. It's a really interesting look. I'd love to see you give it a try. So we can see here the classic architecture elements of the castle. I think that's going to look really strong against the cloudy sky background. So let's give it a try. Next, this is Film School 101 right here. There's 3 types of shots you need to properly build a scene. But before we get to that, can I ask, If you enjoy my playful little tutorials, I would love if you hit the subscribe button. It would greatly help out the channel here, and I have some of my best episodes coming. I don't want you to miss them, so I'd truly be grateful for the sub. Now there's 3 types of shots. First is the wide establishing shot, which gives the audience context of where the scene is taking place, and it's usually the opening shot in a scene. Second is the mid shot, which includes the subject and some immediate surroundings. Third is the close-up of the subject, which introduces some important details that the audience needs to know. Then after that, it's usually a variety of the mid shots and close-up shots. So keep an eye out for this when you're watching a movie or TV. These are really the important building blocks of a scene. Okay, side note, you may have noticed I haven't mentioned settings or ND filters. Coming up next. So remember earlier we identified this beautiful V formation in the skyline. Let's use that as a foundation for our wide establishing shot. My drone is up at 1,000 feet right now, and oh man, the wind is whipping. But Sex Panther, she's rock steady. I even got in a little time lapse, so let's check it out. On windy days, try recording in 60 frames a second because that slow motion, it greatly reduces the appearance of the wind bumps by the drone. Works great. I'm using auto exposure and an ND64 filter. There was no jitteriness in the footage, it was all totally smooth. So the ND64 filter, it's enough to allow the auto exposure algorithm to put the shutter speed range within the ballpark of double my frame rates, which is 24 frames a second and 60 frames a second. With drones, the shutter speed does not have to be exactly double the frame rate for natural looking motion blur. It only has to be within the ballpark. I think that'll be an upcoming episode. So on my mirrorless land camera, I'm always in manual exposure, but drones, I'm always in auto exposure. Here is my cheat sheet. This is written down in the description so you can copy it and paste it into a document for yourself. So I go through this in this order when I get to a new location and I know my singular subject. First, I always orbit the subject to identify its best features and also angles that I need to avoid. Second, I inspect the background features of the landscape to look for features to include and exclude. Third, I get super close. I really want to see what details there are in my subject. Fourth, I study how the light is falling on the subject. You may have heard lighting is everything. It truly is. Become a student. All you have to do is just really study how the light is highlighting the different features in that subject. Now, we can formulate a game plan of shot selections and camera movements. And lastly, make sure you get those variety of shots, a wide establishing shot, mid shots, and close-ups. And give these 2 shot types a try. First, we talked earlier about disrupting the horizon line. It's a really fun little composition trick, so keep an eye out for it. And lastly, if I'm at a scene and I have a moving subject, I always make sure I record at least 1 clip where the drone, the camera is not moving. Because when you have no camera movement, it puts more emphasis on this subject. Especially if you have a busy scene like a cityscape where there's a lot going on. When you have a camera that's not moving, it allows the audience to better digest all the little details of what's going on in your shot. I think a lot of drone beginners, they're constantly moving their drone, and it's a really good habit to establish to at least grab 1 or 2 clips with 0 camera movement and just let the scene breathe. Put the emphasis, it puts much more emphasis on your composition. You gotta make sure you have good composition when there's no camera movement. That's a train.
What are you doing?
Well, we shoveled food into our faces like coal into a locomotive engine. We called it a day and started our journey back home. So if you'd like to join us on our next adventure, let us know down in the comments. Thank you for watching, my flying filmmaker friend, and I'll see you in the next one.